Have you figured out your niche? Are you helping adding value to other people's lives? Then you're in the right place. Welcome to Munira's Musings with your host, co-author of Conversations with Top Real Estate Investors Volume 3, Munira Zahabi.
Greetings from Chicagoland. This is Munira, your niche navigator, live, coming to you again with another episode of Munira's Musings. We have a guest all the way from Auckland in New Zealand, and she's Debra Hill. Debra Hill, right? Hi, Debra. How are you?
It's lovely. Thank you. It's lovely to be here. Thank you for inviting me, Munira.
You are welcome. And, she is a person who is going to teach you how to follow your passion to your profession, right?
Yeah.
Like that, right? So, before we jump in, I want to tell you who I am. I'm Munira Zahabi. I live in Chicago, and I am the niche navigator. I help coaches and business entrepreneurs find and market their niche. And a niche to me is a cornerstone of the foundation that you're building, which is your business. Without a niche, you're going to be frustrated, you're going to waste a lot of time, and you're going to keep flip-flopping like a fish out of water. So, as a niche navigator, I use my compass and I help people find their passion, their purpose in life, and then it becomes a profession. But we don't want to make it like work. We want to make it fun, something that makes you happy. Munira's Musings came about when I was discovering my purpose, but I was asking a lot of other people and seeing their growth and in the industry. And every time I asked people stuff, they did not questions about niches. People didn't think they were doing extraordinary stuff. So my way I got to thinking is that they're doing something. There's somebody out there who needs their help. How about I just promote them with one interview and ask them to come on my show, and then we can grow this way. This is my way of exposing them, to promote them, and to connect them with people who might need their services. So that's what this show is about. We talk a lot about niches, but we also talk about failures and successes, because through failures, we learn how to be successful. And so without further ado, I want to welcome Debra Hill again. I am honored and humbled that you are on my show. I know it's early over there in New Zealand. And thank you again for accepting my invitation. But it's where you are, what you're doing, and why you're doing it is what we are interested in. So thank you, Debra, again, and tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hi, so I'm Debra Hill, and I am a business coach, strategist, and I do public speaking as well. And I work with people who want to build a profitable business that they love. I spend most of my time probably working with people who want to leverage or scale their businesses. I do some work with people who are starting out, because if you get your foundations right and you've got all the right pieces in play, then leveraging and upscaling is actually easy. If you don't do that, then hustle, pain, and frustration is the name of the game. So yes, one of those big pieces, of course, is exactly what Munira talks about, which is niching. Niching is key to getting yourself in a really good position with your business to make money, because that's what it's all about. We're in business to make money. And one thing I absolutely hate is those people that work all hours for very little money. For me, a business should be profitable. It should be there to leverage so that you can have the lifestyle you want. And that's what I focus on.
That's awesome. Thank you so much for sharing that. But okay, so you bring a lot of points to the table. So tell me, did you ever work in the 9-to-5 industry, and what we call a job? And
Yes.
How did you take us through the transition of how you went from there to where you are today?
Okay, so yes, I was in corporate. I was in corporate for over 20 years, and I got to executive level. And I was in the IT industry, so I was in telecommunications. And one of the things I did is I specialized in the integration of new technologies. So right there, you're probably thinking, oh, she's got a really technical background. I do have a bit of a techie background, to be honest with you. But my strength was actually bringing disparate groups of people, different types of people worldwide together to deliver outcomes. Because I was living in New Zealand and we did a lot of work with France, because a lot of the network in New Zealand is based on French technology. But also we did a lot of work with places like India. So a lot of my big development teams were actually based in India or Spain or countries like that. So I traveled a lot. I did a lot of travel, and I worked hard to have people deliver outcomes. That's really what I did. And I love, and I still love, helping people get through roadblocks. So it's about, things that get in the way. Let's understand what that is, and let's get rid of that thing. Let's leap over it, go around it, go through it, whatever we have to do to get to the next step in the process, or the next step regarding an outcome. So in a way, that was my specialty. And as I said, I got to executive level. So why did I change? Well, actually, a major event happened in my personal life, and that my brother died. So he died very young of cancer, and he had some children, and those children came to live with me. And I just couldn't go away for 3 or 4 weeks at a time. I couldn't fly off to Europe and India and places like that and be away for 5 or 6. I couldn't do it anymore. Well, I could, but it wouldn't be fair. So to them or me, to be honest with you. So I made a huge change in my life. So that's the reason I am where I am today. I looked and said, what do I want to do? What can I do? What skills can I bring to the table? And I decided to set up as a business coach, and I love it. And I've never looked back. So yeah, in a way, I miss some things. Travel. I did a lot of travel. But I work internationally. I have more clients out of New Zealand than in New Zealand. I have them in Europe and Asia and Australia. So I have them all around the world. And so in a way, I've kept those international connections, and I just love that. Love it. So that's how I got to be where I am today.
That's awesome. So, but why coaching?
Sorry?
Why coaching? Why did you go into the coaching field? You could
Why
have
did
done
I go coaching? That's a good question, actually. I just wanted to help people. And one of the things that I recognized when I was looking for what I wanted to do, one thing that really bugged me was what some people call the pink ghetto, which it doesn't just apply to women. It applies to everybody, really, a lot of entrepreneurs, which is they've got some great ideas, and they've got the genesis of a really good business, but they just can't take it to a level that lets them earn money in a way that lets them have a lifestyle. And they work for peanuts, and I just hate that. I just, how do we get more small businesses and more people to a position where they're earning the money that their hours deserve and can support their lifestyle? And I don't know about the countries your listeners are in, but it's a major problem that a lot of people don't make it. Only about 1 in 4 businesses actually survive the first, 2 years. It's a terrible statistic. And when you look at why they fail, it's not that the person isn't working hard. It's not that they're not trying. Sometimes they're doing the wrong things in the wrong way. Sometimes they don't have the right foundations that let them leverage. Sometimes it's about it's hard work putting all those pieces together. It's so much to learn, so much to get your head around. It's just amazing that so many businesses get beyond the 2-year mark, in my view, because most people do it alone. They're doing it alone, and it's hard work. It's hard work, and it can be really, really frustrating work as well. So that's the
So
reason.
that's a very good segue, right? Because you've seen this happen. You've looked at the statistics, and I know we say that, there's in America, we are where I am, where we talk about is, very few businesses, past that 5-year mark, and if they do, then there's successful path, and everybody out there is struggling because small businesses run the economy in this country as well.
Oh, yeah.
Large corporations are there, but the small businesses, is what are the little cogs in the wheel of economy, I would say. So this is something really it's something to think about, is that why then are we struggling? Why is it, and you've seen the struggle. So when you look at a business, and what is the first thing you analyze? And I'm going to ask you to share tips and tricks here with some of our viewers, because you know what, there's a lot, most of my people are niching, they've got a niche, or they're looking for a niche, they've thought about becoming a coach, or they're thinking of starting an entrepreneurial business, and there's a lot of industries out there that give you this opportunity, and most of us fail. I failed. I've studied a multi-level marketing, and then I feel like I'm not a good person at selling. So what is it that you would share with us? And do you do analysis? What is it that you do when you first meet a client and say, okay, I can help you, this is what you have to do?
Okay, so the first thing I always ask, or the first things I look at is, what are you selling? In other words, what problem are you solving? Because people buy stuff because they want to solve a problem, and people say, oh, that's not true, but it's true in every case. I want to buy a present for somebody, I want to improve my complexion, I want to get healthier, I want to learn a skill, I want to buy a present, I want to buy a piece of jewelry. It doesn't matter what you're selling, you're solving a problem. So the first thing that I need to get my head around is, are you clear about what your problem you're solving when you offer your service or product? Because you have to have a market. If you don't have a market, you have nothing. And then your niche, who are you selling to? And this is a hard one for a lot of people, because too many people niche too wide. And at the beginning of your business, you're better off narrowing your niche and widening later. And I'll explain why. Because you've got to get good at selling. And if you can narrow your niche down, you can target a group of people and perfect your selling skills. And I don't mean those sleazy, wheezy, awful selling skills that send people running for the hills. Lots of people tell me they can't sell. That's not true. Everybody can sell. Everybody can sell. You just have to find your way of selling. And for some people, that's going to be a narrative or a story. For some people, that's going to be a compassionate sort of wraparound sort of experience. Everybody can sell. It's understanding how you sell, and then how you can wrap that selling process up and use that with your niche. All right? That's the really important thing. So it's really all to do in the beginning for me, especially with new businesses or people who are failing. It's all to me around, what problem do you solve? What skill sets do you have? And what are you bringing to that offer to solve the problem? And then how you position yourself, and then who your niche is, and how you're positioning yourself to your niche, and then how you sell. And for me, it's about getting those sales in the door. It's, you need money. That's the fact of life. And so many people invest sometimes in the wrong things up front too, I'll be honest with you. A lot of people say, oh, you've got to have a really expensive website. I'd have a website. For some businesses, you don't need that day one. You don't need an expensive website. You can actually save some cost and not spend that money right now, and instead perfect your niche. Because I work with lots of people who believe, they go out there, when you start a business, you go out with lots of assumptions. They're not facts, they're assumptions. You see a problem, you assume how you're going to fix that problem. You develop your product and service around that problem. It's still an assumption. You look at a niche, you identify a niche, until you actually go out there and take that product and service to the market and sell it, in other words, prototype it or do whatever you have to do, you're never going to be able to understand whether what you've got is viable. You have to do it. And once you do that, things change. We talk about pivoting in the industry. Lots of people pivot. A lot of people think they're failing when they pivot, but they're not. It's just another learning experience. Failure for me is about learning. That's what it's about. I'd rather people failed early and failed quickly, learnt the lessons and moved on. And pivoting is one of those things. So lots of people think they have a niche. And I'll give you an example. I had a client in the middle of last year who actually who was a health coach, and she wanted to work with millennials because she wanted to stop the start of the cycle of people doing the diet, lose the diet, put on more weight, be at a heavier level than they were when they started the diet, and they went into that cycle. But what she found was that millennials didn't want to buy from her. And the reason was they hadn't started the cycle yet, so they didn't really know that could be a problem for them. So what we said is, well, you love that particular piece of, and that's where your expertise is, that's where you want to work. Who is the niche for you? And what she found was actually her niche was women and men between 40 and 55. So, she had actually built an expensive website targeting millennials with all the language around targeting millennials. And then she had to rebuild it all. So she spent like $5,000, then had to find another $2,500 to rebuild her website so she could target millennials. Because when we tested it against that age group that we identified just through research, man, she took off. And she's up leveled twice since then, and she's now got a $500,000 business. But it's about targeting the right people too. Her passion was still targeting those millennials, but you know what? She found that all those people she worked with were parents. And guess what? Their kids were all around 20 years of age, somewhere around there. A lot of their kids were. So she was getting a message through to millennials, just not the way she thought. Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah.
So she was going through via the parents.
Yeah.
See, and that's what it is, right? So for me, a niche is like a passion that you have, you want to pursue to get to the next step. Now, and then the niche also can be who is it that you're targeting. So there's two things here. And I teach that in my courses as well, right? When I work with my clients. But thing is, many people, there's so many ways. I mean, if you're a straight up baker and you want to start a baking business, that's different than, I want to look at different industries here and see which one's going to be viable. She's successful, I can be successful too. It doesn't work like that. What is it that you are looking out to do for yourself? Which company is going to be a better fit for you? It's not if you're going to fit into the company. The company is been there for a while, it's working. Without you, it's still working. But are you going to be able to incorporate that company into your life and make it your mission? Now, some people do very well, right? But some people don't. But then, I'll tell you, I fumbled for a while until I figured out what I was doing, because I wasn't paying attention, but I was giving people advice about what they should do in their life based on whatever they were telling me. And that became a thing for me was, I can tell anybody anything. Let me help path your way to it. This is what you should do. This is how you should do it. Maybe you should try it this way. So that was all right for me to tell, but I never understood that was my niche until one day, I just woke up from a slumber and oh my God, that was it. So that's the thing, is like sometimes it just falls into your lap, And sometimes you do it, but you don't know it. And sometimes you just know it. So there's a difference. I love the way you're saying, I love the fact that you've identified all of these issues and you figured these things out. So, you know, what would you tell? And you've said it, given us a lot of identifications on, you know, let's fish down, let's figure things out. What is it that you want to do, and then figure it out. But you talked about money. Your passion is bringing the money into people's lives. So how does that happen? Because, you know, Rome wasn't built in a day, and we're not all Tony Robbins.
Well, Tony Robbins, you know, he didn't start life as a millionaire. He started life, you know, hustling for that $50 and $100, just like we do. So, you know, we always look at people at the end of the journey, and we've actually got to give ourselves, you know, a little bit of a smack on the head sometimes and go, hold on a minute, you know, Oprah Winfrey didn't start there. Tony Robbins didn't start there. The fact of the matter is they didn't, you know, they didn't. They started like us, you know, looking for their niche, you know, hustling to confirm their niche. You know, they did that work too. And if they didn't, they wouldn't be where they are today. They failed. You know, they'd gone off on tangents and tried stuff that didn't work and had to step back and go, okay, this isn't right for me. I'm not going to make it here. And, you know, they've had to play with it as well. So, but money is, you know, if for me, the critical thing is getting a product or a service to market in a niche where you can position it and learn your selling style, because lots of people don't think they can sell. The reason for that is they often come from workspaces where, you know, even people say to me, oh, I worked in retail and I sold I don't know, stoves, or I sold whatever it was. You know, they were all the work around selling that, they never actually did themselves. So when you work for a company and you do that stuff, somebody's looking after the marketing and they're niching for you and they're doing all that work around putting out the ads that target the right people so they'll come into the store and buy from you. A lot of that stuff you don't see, and that's the hardest thing for an entrepreneur. You're putting on so many hats, you know. Understanding the language to target your ads and your posts and stuff, especially online, that's almost a skill in itself, you know. So you've got to learn so many skills, so many things to pull together a cohesive picture that puts you in a position to go to the market and sell. And somebody said to me, oh, Facebook ads look easy. No, they're not. They're not easy. They're not easy at all. In fact, I know people who are in the industry who that's their living. They do Facebook ads. And they'll tell you that, you know, the chances of putting an ad out there for somebody they haven't worked with before that's successful in the first 3 or 4 weeks is minimal, because it's going to take 2 to 3 weeks, 4 weeks for them to learn how to position the ad. What they love working with is somebody who's done a lot of that work already themselves and can bring that to the table. But, you know, it's a process, and it's a learning process. And sometimes some of us give up too early. The going gets tough, and it keeps tough, and we just can't see our way to the end of it. You sometimes see memes about that person digging for gold, and they show you the gold at the end of the tunnel, and they get just short of the tunnel and they give up. That is something that we do, and mainly because we can't see the gold at the end of the tunnel. We can't see the end of it. So people like me, that's what I'm there for, to keep you going, and to help you shorten the path. That's what I mean. My job is to make the job for you to get to where you need to be quicker and easier. That's what I try to do. That's what I aim to do. I aim to take some of the pain out of the process and some of the difficulty out of the learning, and to kickstart what you're doing by giving you some hints, tips, or advice about how to shorten the process. All right. So just take niching. One of the things people say to me is, I want to do this thing. How do I know if that's a viable product? Well, one of the things you can go is you can go to Amazon. There's this wonderful store called Amazon, and they have all these books there. So let's say you want to be a health coach and you want to target people who have people with gut problems, all right? Well, there's heaps of books on Amazon, so just go in there, find the thing you want to look at. Let's say it's gluten. You want to work with people with gluten or Crohn's disease. Go in there, find those books, and look at the reviews. Because people will often say what worked for them in the book and what didn't work for them in the book. And the ones you want are the ones that failed, actually. Don't look at the 5-star ones. Look at the 3 stars and the 2 stars. Because those people are saying, this book didn't work for me because... Wow, that's a huge thing. Here's somebody who was looking for something and they didn't get it. All right. So there's ways of doing research that means you don't have to go out, especially in the early days, and front up to people, ask questions because you feel so unsure and unhappy about that. There's ways of doing research that actually, take your time, but that's all they take. You don't have to front up to people and talk to them. So it's just about shortening the process and getting viable, getting facts. As I said, you start your business with lots of assumptions, and over time what you do is you chip those assumptions away so that you're dealing with facts, and the more facts you're dealing with, the better off you are. It's just a way of life. Most assumptions are wrong. They're just wrong. It's just the way it is. That's the saying. I think I said it. Assumptions are about making an ass out of you and me, and most of the time assumptions are wrong. I think there's a scientific thing that was done not too long ago that said sort of like 86% of assumptions are wrong, and yet we build our businesses on them. So the quicker we can get them, we can turn those into facts, the better off we are. And once we start selling, you make those first few sales, you learn from that experience, right? Ask yourself, what worked? What worked in that sale? What did I do that was different? And really be clear about the end-to-end holistic process. People say to me, sales start when I start talking to the customer. No, that's not true. Sales starts from the first time they see you. That post on Facebook or on Instagram, that's when the sales starts. And you've got to understand that you're building a journey for a customer. And that journey starts from the first moment they see you. And yes, they may have to see you 28 times on social media before they buy from you. But understand that's the journey. And so that means you've got to be strategic about that journey. It doesn't start from the moment that you start talking to them. It starts way back there when they notice you. So how you're positioning yourself, how you're talking about yourself, how you niche, that person wants to see you and needs information. You need to think about that. You need to understand your niche and that person and take them on that journey. So that journey is to be a paying customer. That's what we want, paying customers. And every one of us loves those paying customers come in the door. And once they're a paying customer, you got to ask, how do I keep them? How do I keep them? What do I offer them to keep, coming back and buying from me? That's the other part of the journey. So you've got to be quite strategic. But money, it comes in the door because you get all that stuff right. And you can get it right. You just got to pick away at it.
Yes. So it's like an ice sculpture, right? Pick at it very, very gently, but make sure that your end piece is a masterpiece, right? Not only a ice sculpture, any kind of sculpture. I've seen people carve with wood as well, and they have to be very careful because they do break, right? And so you'll never get it right the first time. But as you practice makes you perfect, you'll have to, like Debra said, you have to take the pieces that worked for you and remove that didn't and more stuff. Like my coach says, look at the Coca-Cola commercial, and I don't drink Coke, but the new Snickers commercial right now is they have peanuts in them. But now what they are doing is they're grinding the peanut into a paste and then now putting it into the Snickers bar, So the crunch is gone, but the taste is still there. So I looked at it and said, they have to come up with modifications to their product because they have to see where the market is, and they just have to, it's a new thing. And I know McDonald's, they have different strategies where they have a certain new drink that they market in a certain market, and then if it's successful, they'll go to 2-3 different states, and then where it grows. But that's what you have to do, is keep looking at the commercials on TV, because you learn a lot from that too.
Absolutely, you absolutely do. Yeah, absolutely. And never stop learning. I worked with a gentleman at the end of last year who'd been in business for 10 years and had been successful, had the business at the level he wanted. But over the last 2 years, he recognized that he was losing business and he didn't know why. And the reason he was losing business was not that his product wasn't wanted anymore. It's just that his marketing techniques and the things he talked about his product was stuff he developed 8 or 9 years ago. And people had moved on. And what we had to do was work to identify, well, how should he talk about his product now? And where should he position it? Because what worked 8 years ago doesn't work anymore. Like, millennials talk totally different to what they did. 25-year-olds don't talk like they did 10 years ago. They're using different tools. They have a whole different sort of language. But even then, 40-year-olds today don't talk or live lives like they did 10 or 15, 20 years ago. The world moves on, and you have to do that with your niche as well. You've got to stay in contact with your niche, and you've got to constantly be asking yourself, what do I need to change? What works better? What do I need to tweak? What do I need to try? It just doesn't stop because you've got it right over here. You've got to keep working the story. But don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. Do you understand what that means? If something's working. I work with people all the time.
I was in primary school. Primary school, don't throw out the baby with the bathwater. And first it was like, what? And then I got it.
You got it. I have people come to work with me, and I'll look at them, and I go, hey, in April last year, you had a 10K month. What happened? And they'll go, bloody, yeah. They'll tell me the story. And I go, why didn't you repeat that? Oh, I want to try something new. No! That worked. All right? So we need to take the genesis of that and build on it. The other thing people do that's wrong. Sorry?
And that's the thing, is when you have an idea, that's what I teach people, is when you have an idea, take it and run with it. Do your market research. Start with that little thing, and then try it with your family, your friends, neighbors, if you will. If you're selling not a product but a service, then try it with the grocery store lady or anybody that you meet. Say, would you listen to this? What do you think? 9 out of the 10 people are going to say it's a stupid idea, but there are some people who are going to say, that works. Why don't you try it? And
because
that does.
Yeah. And you just raised the important first thing, which is you're not there for everybody. That's the thing about niche. You're not there. Not everybody, I had people say to me, oh, somebody didn't like my product. I go, yeah, but 8 people did. Not everybody's going to like you and what you do. You're not there for them. Concentrate on the people. Don't, those people that don't like what you do, or don't agree with what you do, or don't like your product or service, they're behind you. Stop thinking about them. Concentrate on the people that you're there for, because you're going to be right for somebody. There's a niche out there for you. It's finding that niche. And the people that aren't for you, let them go. Let them, So many people worry about the people they're not there for. Why? Take your energy and put it where it belongs.
Where it belongs. You're right. You're so right. Oh, God, you've shared so many nuggets, and this is so important, because you know what? The money will flow when you are in the right segment, in the right niche, and that's it. You have to do your research. I like the fact that going to Amazon and look at the stars and see what they are looking for, because not everybody wants to lose weight. Not everybody has to. I don't know what out there. There's so many things. For me, it became the niche navigator because I saw so many people struggling with what they needed to do. And I sometimes have a 30-minute strategy session just giving away stuff to see, okay, let's get you on the right path. You may not be ready, so I'm not going to say right now, but maybe later. It's not now. That's what I believe. So you've shared a lot of nuggets. Thank you so much. For those people who are watching, go ahead, like, subscribe, and share this video. I appreciate you guys watching. I appreciate Debra Hill on, she's here from Australia. No, let me rephrase that. She's here from Auckland in New Zealand. We always think of Australia because it's a bigger continent.
Yeah.
Forgot it.
We're just that little thing at the bottom.
Yeah, but I shouldn't do that, but I'm sorry about that. But the thing
That's
is,
okay.
Wherever you are in the world and you have a niche, go ahead and take what you have, market it, and do your research, because that's what's going to make you. I mean, 2 people may not like you, but 5 people will, and it will grow from there. Yeah.
Yeah, it will. And some people, when you talked about money, I actually don't focus on money to start with people. The money's important, don't get me wrong. But, if you get the basics right, if you know you're solving a problem, you're clear about what that is, if you're clear about your niche, if you're confident and clear about how you want to position yourself in the market, because that stuff's aligned to your values and all that stuff. If you're really clear about what success means to you, so many of us are aligned to success, that's somebody else's success. What's important is, what does success mean to you? And then if you are offers and all those things, your niche and your product and your service, all that stuff is aligned and you get that stuff right. When you go out to the market, in my view, you can't really fail. You can't, you will make money because you've got all your little ducks in a row. And if you keep learning as you go, and which is what you have to happen, and you take your failings and you go, okay, that didn't work. Why didn't that work? And is there something I need to improve, change, alter, or do I throw that away? And making informed decisions. It's about being mindful. It's about making informed decisions. If you do those things, then you will succeed. You will succeed because you are heading in the right direction, and you just step every day. Consistency wins. You can have the most beautiful logo, the prettiest website in the world, but if you don't consistently step to a strategy every day, you will lose. All right, you will lose. Some of the people have the best ideas in the world, but they don't follow through. They don't do the work. They aren't consistent, and they will never make it. And that's the sad thing about it. You can do it. Everybody can do it. You just have to do the right things.
That's such an awesome advice. The very last piece of advice that you said is be consistent, but work on it, right? Work on your idea and show up, right? Just don't expect it to work like an well-oiled machine. It's not that.
No.
Really appreciate
show up. Yeah, absolutely. You've got to show up every day. Every work day, when you should be working, not scrolling and doing all those other things that people get caught up on. Work in your business means work in your business.
Yeah.
It means getting out there and selling and doing those things.
So, we mentioned Tony Robbins and Oprah and everybody else. They had to work hard in the beginning, right?
Yeah.
But then it got easier, right? It got easier, and I don't know if Tony Robbins still has a lot of he has Walk the Fire and all of these seminars, and or he does a lot of things. But the thing is, he hasn't stopped working because now his passion is fueling what he wants to do, and he wants to help so many people. Just like Oprah does, she hasn't stopped, even though she stopped having her talk show. She hasn't stopped. So it shows, that, but the first few steps, are
they did it alone. They did it alone. They did it alone. Yeah, they had to. They stepped just like you and me. They started alone, and they did the hustle, and they did the work, and they took what was working and they built on it, and that's how they got to where they are today. And the reason they have a team around them now is because as a business owner, you get to a point where you can't do it all alone and grow. You have to outsource You have to get people in, and doing that right is important. But what that lets you do, there's a point in your business, there's this point in the business where you have to move from being just a business owner to being a leader in your business. You have to take the CEO role, and to do that you have to free up time, because you need to do the visioning, you need to do all that stuff that will make the business something long term. And to do that you have to free up time, and to free up time you have to bring other people into your business, and doing that right is key too. Doing that right is key, because you can only grow your business so far on your own. There's a point at which, most people have an accountant or something, but there's a point at which you need other people to grow your business and to give you the space to be what you need to be, which is a CEO and leader in your business. And whether that's a $500,000 business or a $250,000 business or a $10 million business, there is a point at which you need to do that, and doing that right is key. And I help a lot of people do that too, because doing that right is key. And can I say, it's really, really hard when you're a solopreneur, a business owner, to actually bring somebody into the business to do something you've been doing. A lot of people find that really, really hard, because, will they do it right? Will they get it right? Do I want to give it away? It's my baby. It's really hard.
To give up, right? I have a client who has the same issue, and you have to work at him a little bit at a day. What is it that you outsource today? The same thing, right? Is like, what is it that you want to give away power to off? So people.
But you're not giving away power. You always should own direction. So it's about understanding what you're giving away. It's not power. But if some people perceive absolutely what you said, they're giving away power.
Yeah, and that's what he says, is I'm giving him the power. No. And I tell him that, you're not giving him the power, you're giving him the execution to do what those tasks are. And it's like one little thing. So he's got a virtual assistant, as I call, and it's one task that he gives her per week. And I'm like, you're giving her money to do one task? Really? So it's a work in progress, but we'll get there.
It is. You're right. It is a work in progress.
And so, relinquishing that, the tasks, and sometimes even I feel like that. It's like, do I need a virtual assistant who can just do this? And if they do this, will they be in my business? Can they take over things? Sometimes people do that, but you have to look positive. That's a learning curve, and that's another conversation for another day, right?
It is, absolutely is, and it's an important conversation, but it absolutely is one for another day. It's a whole different field. And one thing I will say to people who are employing people into their business, look, people say to me, I want somebody as good as me. No, you don't. You want somebody better than you. You want somebody who can do that thing better than you, because you want to bring into your business the best you possibly can. So you want somebody who's better than you. And if that makes you feel, that challenges you, it makes you feel a bit, let's see how we get around that, because you need if you're going to get a social media person to look after your Instagram and Facebook, you want somebody who can nail that better than you, because that will help grow your business. And you just have to stand back and go, I gave it my best shot. Maybe it's not my strength. I love doing it, but I'm not the best at it, and I've got to let that go, because my business needs it. It's going to grow, and it's going to be better for my business if I let somebody else do that. I still have control. I still am the CEO. That person works within the confines, and I'll have a position description and an outcome thing and KPIs and all that stuff, because that's my responsibility as a leader. But I need to have the best person I can get to do that thing. Yeah. But it's hard. Right. Lots of people, it's like, oh no, find it difficult.
Thank you so much. Thank you again, Deb.
That's right. You're welcome.
So I really appreciate it. For those of you watching, you've had a lot of nuggets right from the beginning. There's so many that you jot them down. But the thing is, find your niche, do your research, and take care of your business, because that's your baby. It's going to grow. Don't give up, and find the niche, because when you find that that core passion, that core purpose that you have, you are going to make the money, and that's the purpose of your business, to make money. Thank you, and thank you so much, and have a good day. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Munira's Musings with your host, Munira Zahabi. If you enjoyed our show, please share and subscribe to this channel. And for more content, please join our Facebook group called Navigate to Your Niche.